Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids and we're back for some more Mardek, and of course last time we successfully picked up the last of our crystals. We now have the fire, water, and earth crystal here. Well, we tried to pick up the air crystal, but we got shut down. So, that does mean that we are going to now head back to the Gosnor Castle to turn these all in and see what the king has to say about that. Now, before we do that, I just want to make a quick point of picking some things up at one of these shops in Aeropolis here. And I do recommend, if you're playing along with us, that you do something similar to this here, or I believe it's in this shop, from this guy, selling all of the pendants. Let's just make a point of picking up a few of each of these. I think we did some of this earlier on, but I just want to make sure we have, let's say, at least 2 of each, just to be safe here. Remember, of course, these are the ones that give 50% resistance of their corresponding element, so the Earth Pendant gives 50% Earth resistance, but it also gives vulnerability, so minus 50% resistance to the opposite element. So the Earth Pendants make you weak to air, air makes you weak to fire, water makes you weak to earth, and fire makes you weak to water. All that stuff. You'll see why I'm making a point of picking those up in just a second, but let us head back to Gosnor. And let us warp to make that happen. Which means, of course, that we will have to head on over to the northern continent and go through the warp port in the process. But no matter, no matter. So, what exactly will the king say to us when we do, of course, turn in all these crystals? Did seem rather suspicious before when he initially sent us on our journey. Yes, we know you want to take our gold warport pass, but you can never have it. It's all ours. Get your grubby hands off of it. Okay, so head on over. Castle Gosnor. And we do still have Jacques here, and we have done many things since we last checked in with him. Remember that he does give us all those medals. Ah, Sir Mardek, bonjour. And once again, I apologize in advance for the horrendous French accent. You return from your adventures once more, I see. As you well know, it is my duty to assess your progress, and to award you these medals for your, how you say, admirable amities. Let us see now. I never gave you a medal for saving the world back when the Black Disc attacked. Here, you must have these. Thank you. And I suspect that we will have a ton of these, given just how long it's been and how many things we've done since we last checked in with Jacques. Ah, I see that you have gathered quite a party there to help you, Sir Mardek. And you have each of them their fair chance to prove themselves too. Bravo! Have these! Sir Mardek, you are becoming one of the most powerful of our royal knights. Maybe even the most powerful. I just have to give you this for your strength. It always pleases me when our knights go out of their way to help others, even when not assigned that specific task. For your help with the Solakian priests in the Sun Temple, I reward you with these. I'm glad to see that you successfully completed your mission at the Sun Temple. Here, have a medal. Did we really not check in with you after that? Apparently not. Wow. Some of these things are quite old. I thank you for helping several reptoids improving the relations between our two species. Well done. I'm truly proud to have you as a knight, Sir Mardek. You did what few would have done. Knowing that the frozen fairies would grant you great benefits in combat, you willingly gave them away so that they may be happier and free, rather than keeping them for yourself. It is with great happiness that I give you these. He knows that yellow fairy was quite tempting to hold on to it, but yes, we did turn it in. I have heard great things about you from the curator at the Aeropolis Museum. You save this museum, he says. The artifacts that you have brought him are drawing in quite a lot of people. This deserves a medal. In the slums of Aeropolis are well known for their crime, and avoided by most. That you courageously ventured in and helped with their problems puts the Royal Knights of Gosnor in a wonderful light, and for this you must be rewarded. My, you have walked a long way in your journey, Sir Mardek. I think that the fact that you are still walking deserves a reward in itself. Hopefully this medal will help you understand why we pay you very little. This job pays for itself. The millionaire medal. Fair enough, I suppose. You have seen a lot in combat in your time, Sir Mardek. I only wish that it was not so, and that we could live in a world of peace. But alas, your contributions must be rewarded nonetheless. Sacre bleu! You've been through the war, Sir Mardek, and yet still you stand, a testament to the stalwartness of the Royal Guard of Gospel. To have shown this taste for violence in the past, I'm aware that monsters are not living beings, and as such, the world is a better place with fewer of them in it. This medal is for making the world a slightly better place. You've surely put quite a hole in the miasma, Sir Mardek. The less monsters in the world, the safer we all are. Well done. It is good to see that you are putting your guard training in good use, Mardek. Hopefully, this will only continue. The force of magic is an amazing thing, and a very deadly thing. It is reassuring to know that it is firmly on our side. It is important for a good warrior to know when to put his expendable supplies at good use. Tool use is what sets us apart from the mere beasts, after all. I'm glad you understand this. You are truly doing excellent work, Sir Mardek. Your competence in combat certainly needs to be marked by a shiny painted medal. You are quite the battle-hardened warrior now, Sir Mardek. Battles are your life, it seems, and your record seems unlikely to be broken now. Excellent. A good knight knows when to use his surroundings to aid him. Since we live in a world where apparently unopened chests full of loot scatter the landscape, the land truly can provide. And it has provided you as well, it seems. You don't miss anything, do you, Sir Mardek? Nothing gets past you. You have searched the world for its riches and left no stone unturned. But devotion is truly commendable. Used to... what? The Annihilator? I've only heard legends of these things. You are truly incredible, Sir Knight. So it is truly unfortunate that the Manta civilization was destroyed eons ago and cannot be brought back. At least now, no others can suffer their gruesome fate. But see, Sir Mardek, we are all in your debt. You have truly earned this small piece of shiny metal. Ah, you have been partaking in the arena challenge, I see. And you have come out victorious. Bravo! This will surely give the Royal Knights quite some regard. So, you have surely already received a reward from the Trilobites for your feat. I will also give you these. Ah, Mardek, you conquered the survival tournament in the arena alone? Well done. Your training has really paid off. Donovan, I always knew you would make a good knight. It is in your blood. The arena tournament was effortless for you, no? Charla, though you say little, we all know that you are as capable as they come. Well done for your victory in the arena. I'm sure you earned it. Ah, you have a Reptoid chieftain fighting alongside you, Mardek. Truly, your charisma is beyond words. And he won the arena too? This comes as no great surprise. Reptoids are furiously strong. But I will congratulate these nonetheless. What is this? You have a dog? Singing your party? Yeah, this is most peculiar. But he gets a medal for her skill at the arena anyway. Here, doggy. Miss Eloise is helping you now, Mardek. You should keep an eye on her. She's not a trained fighter like you, and she's very young. Yet, I realize that I know not what I say, for she has beaten the arena tournament. Me felicitations. I have no idea how to say that. That's actually a French word. Gloria is the shaman of Canonia, no? Who has summoned quite the party to help you, Mardek. And strong as they are, it seems. Here is a medal to commemorate Mademoiselle's victory at the arena. It is good to know that the crazed inventor has finally left the safety of his workshop and given up his silly pacifist ways. I must give him this medal for showing that even the shy can be a force to be reckoned with. I have little idea what this Legion thing is, but it comes to my attention is that it's one at the arena. Have a medal. You have hired a trained killer to fight alongside you? I suppose you are a trained killer, in a way, Sir Knight, and I did instruct you to use whatever means available to strengthen yourself. You wander to the arena, and shall receive this medal. Congratulations to the paladin at the arena. Though I cannot say personally I approve of fighting in the name of a god, it seems to be quite effective, I must admit. Have a medal, mon ami. Your party's mastery at the arena is truly phenomenal, Mardek. The sum of such parts must be a force to be reckoned with indeed. Here is a medal to show the tremendous power of your party. Sorry, but I have no more shiny medals to give you at this time. Go out into the world and do things to earn them. No worries, Jacques, you just gave us about 1,000 medals. We can take a quick look over here, and much of these things were for us completing quests, or things like, say, helping out with the reptoids, returning all the fairies, returning all the artifacts at the museum, and then doing things like completing individual arena runs for all of our party members, open up lots of chests, winning lots of battles, defeating the Annihilators, Karnos, and Animus, all those types of things. So you'll notice there are still a few that remain unclaimed here, so we'll see if we can pick these up, at least I assume so based on these empty spots on our page here. We're getting close, 37 out of 40 look like. Then before we carry on here, of course, the king would be up through this door here, but before we do so, let's just drop a quick save, because, well, like I was saying before, he has been acting awfully strange as of late, so not exactly sure how this is going to go down. I believe there is a save crystal here, yes, back in what was previously Mardek and Dugan's room here. And head on over. And I'm thinking we'll just check out what the king has to say, because, well, I mean, what's going to happen when we try to turn all these crystals? I don't rightly know. The king, or my old friend Palma, rather, awaits at this door. There may be no turning back past this point. Make sure we've done everything we need to do before confronting him. Okay, so yes, this is in fact the point of no return, as Rohop says right here. So, if we were, say, to make a point of making sure that we have a certain party, having certain equipment on, potions, items, all those things. Also, yeah, in case it wasn't clear, the king is currently really possessed by Rohop's old friend Aqualna. Yeah, that probably wasn't too much of a mystery for you, but there it is, Rohop telling us point blank. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to jump in and show you what this is all about, because I think that, unlike in some other battles where I've tried to walk the fine line of prepping for the battle without giving you too many spoilers as to what we are likely to expect, on this occasion I think there's no way to prepare for this without outright spoiling what we're about to run into. So I'm going to go in, see what it's all about, and then we'll rewind the clock a little bit and prep in truth for what we actually want to have as our setup going into this encounter here. So that way we're kind of ready, sort of, but not really. Anyways, we'll head in, and here goes nothing. There you are. You came. Good. Why haven't you brought me any of the crystals yet? Why are there so many of you now? I swear, there were only like 5 of you before. Yes, the king still appears to have pink eyeballs and cyan text. This is a little bit strange. Also, yes, this is actually the first time we've seen all of our party members standing together like this, and he's not wrong. Our group has gotten ginormous. Well... Oh, I'm sick of this. It's utterly ridiculous. I should have done this before, because the cost of our journeys so far outweighs what might have happened if I had, and I can't put up with it anymore. Your gig is up, Qualna. Oh, Rohop, telling him how it is. Gig? Your jig is up, Qualna. Other words that rhyme with gig? Jig? Your game is up, Qualna. Who's Qualna?
Do not play me for a fool. I know it's you. Your voice, your eyes, your acting talents have really degraded along with your mind, your honor, and your morals. All because of that blasted violet crystal. I refuse to keep up with this pathetic ruse any longer. Let's do this like Anukai. What on whatever planet this is called are you talking about?
Totally not something an alien would say.
Darn it, Qualla. I know you're a coward. But can you at least try to have the guts to face me now? It's not like there's any way out of it for you. And you're kidding yourself if you think denying your identity is at all convincing.
Guards! Seize this babbling fool. Though it pains me to disobey direct order, my liege, Lemon will not doing that. Look at them all. I'd be killed before I got down to that blatant stairs. Get him yourself, you loony. Our sheer numbers enough to intimidate the guards.
You should listen to your peon. Oh, King, come here and face me.
Well, this isn't going as well as I...
Shut up, Mardek. The grown-ups are talking.
Oh, Rohov. Okay. Assuming direct control. Mardek? Are you alright? I don't know, Donovan. Things are going a little bit off the deep end here.
I really have no idea what you are talking about, oh knight of mine. But if you are going to be like this, then I suppose I will have to take matters into my own, very royal hands. Let's fight then, Qualla. Maybe some violence will convince you to be more honest with me.
And with that, we have the King of Gosnor is our opponent here. And so, what exactly are we expecting here? Let's take a quick look. He has haste. He has, okay, highest strength and spirit. About 30,000 HP. Then high attack as well, meaning that we'd likely take pretty hard physical hits from him. 10 defense, only 1 magic defense, so magic is the preferable way to attack him. A little bit weak to water, a little bit resistant to fire, and actually quite resistant to air, light, and heals to ether. Odd for fire elemental character. Then he has the Sword of Gosnor, a regal crown, and the Slakian plate mail, which is perhaps the reason why he has some air resistance there. Then some resistance to statuses, mostly curse. He's 100% resistance to that and zombification, so no easy one-turn wins by turning him into a zombie immediately. So I'm going to take at least 1 or 2 turns here just to give you a sense as to what we're expecting to run into, and then I will show you why we want to make more of a point of setting up specifically for this fight here, because it is quite unique. So Legion, just going to go with some default attacks here, nothing too special. The King does have reactions as well, okay, so that's good to know. Then we could say, try using a spell, just see what that's all about here. Solar Flare with Solar. And that is the King's turn, not a reaction. Void. Okay. Then for Mardek, I mean, again, why don't we just use an attack here? Counterattack, okay. Does seem as though we're seeing plenty of counterattacks when we use our physical attacks. Yes, that is certainly the case. But we did set up Vern with the Scarab that gives him the Rage. So he is berserked right now, and therefore we don't have any control over him. He will just be using default attacks. He is also on quite low HP because that minus Vitality as well. Give him the Curse Beret to double up on the Curse. That's Scarab of Fury is the one that's giving him the Berserk. And then Curse Blade means he's leeching all the damage that he's dealing, so there's something to be said for that. Gosnor King, though, doesn't have that much HP, to tell you the truth, or at least it seems as though we can blow through that relatively quickly here. So, we'll keep on going, at least for now, and see if the King has any tricks up his sleeve, given how, in the past, that has typically been the case for previous bosses that we've fought. At the moment, it doesn't seem too bad. There you see, Earthquake is actually one of the major Earth Elemental spells that we've previously only been able to learn from major bosses. So we made a point of having Legion in, say, the Earth Guardian fight, so we can make a point of learning that ability here. It is possible to do it with the King of Gosnor, but of course, at this point in time, as you heard Rohoff say previously, this is already past the point of no return, so at this point in time, that means that, well, you've gone basically the entirety of the game without one of Leech's most powerful spells, so kind of too little too late in that respect. Mardek, you could use a Water Slash here, because the King is a little bit weak to water, and yeah, that is decent damage there. Again, the counterattacks. Burn leeches a lot of life there, and deals a fair bit of damage as well, though his low life does mean he's perhaps vulnerable. This is the King's special ability here. And this is why it does mean that you probably want to make a point of preparing yourself for this fight specifically. It is quite unique, because yes, you did just see the King summon clones of our friends here. So we'll take a look in a second here, once we get the chance to take a turn, because of course Vern is acting on his own accord. But he has summoned a clone of, I believe this is Charla here, and she keeps all of the items that we put on her. So she has the obelisk, the elf cap, dark robe, and her charm. Has all the resistances, all the attributes, all that stuff. Similar story with Zack here. So Legion as well, we actually almost took Legion out with a strong hit there. One of the reasons why you want to probably make a point of preparing for this fight in particular is because, well, you don't necessarily know who you're going to run into here. King could summon any of our friends at all, and depending on who he summons, you could find that this is a very difficult fight, because Zack, to tell you the truth, is probably the person that I was fearful of the most, because, well, Zack's Sin Strike, as we saw previously, can deal 9,999 damage. So that means that if we don't have someone with insanely high dark resistance or otherworldly defensive reactions, then Zack is capable of one-shotting anyone with that ability. So you need to prepare for facing yourself and any of a number of your possible allies. And because they carry over the equipment that you have currently equipped, that does mean that for the allies that you at least don't have in your current party, you do have a reason to say unequip items here, or deliberately throwing on those pendants that we've made a point of purchasing in Aeropolis. Remember that those pendants give 50% resistance to one element, but 50% weakness to another. So one strong strategy for this fight here is, in particular, for anyone that you do not have in your current party, make a point of putting on 2 of the same type of pendant, which will make them 100% weak to a certain element, and then you make a point of attacking them with that type of elemental damage. So in that way you can outsmart them in a way, and regardless of who shows up, you can take them out relatively quickly. Now, of course, if we are to find that Zack is one of the people who gets summoned, and he immediately hits us with a Sin Strike, then we are still going to have to be prepared for that. So that's why I'm most fearful of Zack more than anyone else. I think he might be the only one who could one-shot just about anyone. Everyone else, I mean, we certainly have people who are capable of hitting everyone in the party simultaneously with some kind of spell. Don't think it'd be strong enough to take anyone out in one hit, but then, of course, that means that we want to be preparing for those types of attacks and make sure we're loading up on some HP, magic defense, elemental resistances, all that stuff, which we didn't necessarily do here. And as I was saying, wasn't sure there'd be any way of preparing for this fight without letting the cat out of the bag and talking about how, well, we just want to have a ton of dark resistance because we might get hit by an enemy that deals 9,999 dark damage. Never mind the fact that you haven't seen anyone do that besides Zack. So for that reason, I'm going to activate the time machine now. Okay, so we're back now at the save crystal just before the Gosnor King fight. And so let's make a point now of equipping the characters that we are expecting to have in this fight appropriately, and then also even preparing the people who are not in this fight in anticipation of them potentially showing up against us. So what we want to do here is, we've done many different boss-specific setups in the past. We've done things like use nulls with Gloria, use nulls with Meridor, use Solar's Spirit Craft on Eloine to make it so that her songs make her capable of having us take no damage. There's one other strategy, though, that I think we have not had the chance to do much of, if at all. And so I want to try that one out here. That being, it's going to be, yes, Gloria again. She is typically, I would say, one of, if not the best, boss-specific character because those nulls, but for another reason as well, in particular when combined with Legion here. Let's have these two. Then I'm thinking for our last person, let's throw in Donovan as well, because, well, we are, of course, going to be fighting the king here, so it'd be a little bit interesting to have the king's son go up against him. Remember that Donovan did reveal that little secret to us recently. So let's have those characters in our party. Then in terms of gear, we'll want to make a point of throwing on these pendants on people other than those who we have in the party right now. And to tell you the truth, I might not have picked up enough for us to do what we're looking to do here. But for people like Sharla, let's say take off all of your gear here, maybe even deliberately give you a weaker weapon. That way, if you are to physically attack us, it's not going to hurt us nearly as much. And for her, since she is an air elemental character, that means that she would naturally be weakest to fire. So in order to make her weaker to fire, we could say further emphasize that weakness by putting on the air pendant here. So it basically means just don't attack her with air skills, but if we do attack her with fire skills, they will be very effective. The hope here being that we would be able to take her out in one hit with some kind of fire elemental skill. We've certainly seen many fire skills that can deal at least 1,000-ish damage, and if we're having Donovan in our party, then it could likely come from him, and that'll be a weird experience, Donovan taking out Sharla when they have a little bit of a thing going on, but it's Sharla's clone, it's not the real Sharla, okay? It's different. Okay, then Gloria, we will have in our party here, so that means for you, we actually want to prepare accordingly. So we'll put on, the elf cap is probably a decent option here. We could boost your spirit with the Azure Stole. But one thing I want for us to bear in mind is, like I said, I think the biggest risk is that Zack with Sin Strike is the single strongest ability. If he can take anyone out with one hit, if he does opt to use that ability. Now, of course, he does have enough abilities, the chances that he uses that one specifically, perhaps somewhat low. So you could make the case that maybe the thing that we are more fearful of would be someone like Gloria or Legion, using a magic spell that hits everyone in the party all at once. And if we don't have enough resistances to that element, then that could take some people out. But that typically doesn't have as much damage. I think Legions probably do it a little bit harder than Gloria's. So it does mean we'll want to make sure that we have at least some resistances on other people. So that means if we were to try to get some dark resistance, what if we were to say use the dark robe, or, I mean, ideally, of course, would be Night Jacket. We are using Legion as one of our characters, and that means Legion cannot use the Night Jacket. So that means it's between Gloria, Donovan, and Mardek as to who gets dibs on it. I think that because Mardek has the Dark Shield, he can get some dark resistance a little bit more easily, so we probably don't put it on Mardek. He also has more defensive reactions than Gloria or Donovan do. So let's say put the Night Jacket on Gloria here. I think she's also probably a higher priority character than Donovan on this occasion. The two people who are going to be the engines behind our strategy here are going to be Gloria and Legion, so I think it's probably most important for us to prioritize them. And so we'll put the Night Jacket on Gloria. That gives her absorption to dark, so she's fine from Sin Strikes from Zack and any other dark abilities you might find. And a little bit of resistances to fire, water, air, and earth is also not bad. And a little bit of earth from the elf cap as well. Then if we could say get a little bit more, another item here, bear in mind because Legion does not have access to that really strong resistances from Night Jacket, that probably means we're going to want to put something like the Rainbow Disc on Legion here, because they don't get any resistances from the chest plate that they're using, so this is really almost necessary for them. Then we almost certainly will not want to use Boots of Celerity, but what other resistance items could we put on in the accessory slot? Or say someone like Gloria and or Legion? And I think we saw that yes, the Scarab of Protection does give a nice combination of many different things here. That might be a good second option for Legion, because this is 40% resistance to everything. This is 20% resistance to fire, water, air, and earth, only 10% to light and dark. Does mean that at least Legion is on 50% dark resistance. Then if we were to say make a point of throwing on the black hat, whoever has that one, Solar does, that would be 50% more resistance. That should bring Legion up to 100. So that's looking good in that case. Gloria, you're already fine for dark resistance. And if we get a little bit more resistance from something, your Leaf Charm does give earth and air resistance. That is decent. However, because you are an earth elemental character, that means you're already starting with 20% earth resistance. Health cap, 20% more, that's up to 40. And the Night Jacket, that's another 20% to 60. And this here, the Leaf Charm would get you up to 90, so that means you're basically fine for earth damage here. In terms of other things, we'd like to find a way to get a little bit more of those. And then you have mastered resist earth and resist dark, I assume, from the Night Jacket and Geo Jackets, but those are the two resistances that you don't really need on this occasion. It does make it a little bit tricky finding something else to put here. We'll keep that in mind. Legion, maybe. For your other things, well, actually, tell you what, I think Legion is basically all set here. Let's see what other things we can snipe off of other people that could be helpful. Donovan will get to you, but as I said, I think you're technically lowest priority here. We could potentially go for something like the Eclipse Amulet on someone as well. That would be another way to boost the light and dark resistances. Tell you what, that might be a good item for Donovan here. That way you're getting at least some dark resistances, and assuming that you have Master Resist Dark, that would also be enough to cover your bases there. Then, I'm thinking that for the second accessory on Gloria, we might want to use one of the bangles. She does, of course, have enough Earth resistance already, or very close to it. I think we're probably going to be fine with 90% there. So I'm thinking something like a Sapphire Bangle might be preferable in that case, because it does give her the 50% water resistance, and then additionally some Spirit and defense and magic defense, so it'll help her as a spellcaster, of course. I think that's a decent setup for you, Gloria. Legion, you're fine. Donovan, we have the Eclipse Amulet. That's a strong accessory, sure. Could go with your Flame Charm as well. That'll give you some fire and water resistances. Then the Chestplate, Astral Wanderer's Garb gives the Ether resistance. I'm not sure if that's all that necessary here. So what if we were to, say, throw something else on instead? Like something that gives a little bit more different types of resistances. Not sure. We've kind of taken the best options here. We could go with the Lesser Rainbow Shirt. Might not be a bad idea. Does give you a little bit of everything, not a ton. We could go all in on one type of resistance, like Earth with the Geo Jacket. Not a huge fan of that on this occasion, though, because I think we'd rather be a little bit more well-rounded, at least with the characters that we have in our party. Otherwise, we could boost your life with a +6 Green Stole. That way, even if you do get hit by a type of damage that you don't have a lot of resistances to, hope would be you have enough life that you don't go down. So that might actually be the front runner, to tell you the truth. Either that, or if we needed more dark resistance, we could go with the Dark Robe, but the Eclipse Amulet, I don't think that's necessary. So I think we do. We give you a Green Stole, +6. Hope that keeps you alive, basically, is the idea there. And of course, we will use the best weapons for everyone that we have in our party here. But for those that are not in the party, we're going to give them weaker items. We can't actually outright remove weapons, but we can even see if we have weaker ones still. I think, the Iron Spear here is actually the weakest one. So go with that, and we will also put on items that have specific weaknesses, as with the pendants here. That means Eloian, for you, you are water elemental, so you would naturally be weakest to Earth. Any ways we could, well, say, get rid of your resistances there and put on weaker weapons for you. I mean, not that we're terribly concerned about you physically attacking people, but if we were to be able to put on one of the pendants, we probably want a water pendant to further emphasize your weakness to Earth. I'm going to throw on just one for people at the moment because I'm not sure if we have enough pendants. We might have needed a little bit more than that. So then we have Solar, and Solar is actually a little bit tricky because they are, of course, light elemental, which means that they are weakest to dark. It's a little bit difficult to make people have greater dark weakness. So for that reason, we might just throw some kind of pendant on for you, and I'm not necessarily sure there is a correct answer, so to speak. Maybe we just throw on something that we have some spares of, like the Earth pendants, or we could throw on an Air pendant as well. That way we might have a couple people who are weak to fire, and Donovan can be extra effective on that occasion. Yeah, we have a few more of those as well, so let's do that maybe, and we'll double up on those to make up for how Solar does not start out with fire weakness. Then we have Vern. Yeah, I mean, on some occasions you could perhaps make the case that throwing on a gimmicky item like the Cursed Blade or Cursed Beret could actually be beneficial, because that means that from Vern we will not see any special abilities if he is cursed. We can take off the shield though. What if we were to say, use the Cursed Beret? Doesn't mean that he'll have auto shield and automatic shield, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I think that might still be worth the cost. And then we just, I mean, sure, this is a bit of a synergy between these two. So maybe we downgrade the weapon to the Keyblade? Sure, for just 26 base damage means that even if he is hitting us with his default attack, should be weak enough that it's not much of a concern. Might even have weaker weapons still. Yeah, we have the starting weapon for 10 base attack. So that's probably the safest route there. And this is, as you can see, perhaps one reason to make a point of holding on to even your earliest of weapons, just to make sure nothing bad happens to you here. Then we have Slinik. They are Earth Elemental, meaning that they are naturally weakest to air. We'll throw on one of these, and we probably don't want to have you using the Dracula Crescent here. So let's say, go back down to, again, your starting axe here, the Great Axe, which is, sure, better than what we just put on Vern, but still a significant downgrade from the Dracula Crescent, so that's probably going to help us out quite a bit. Variador, we could definitely mess with you. Because, of course, your abilities are tied exclusively to what type of invention you have equipped. So if we were to say, make a point of throwing on an invention that you can't do much with, then that might mean that you are almost useless. So if we were to put on a potion spray, would you actually use the potions that you have in your inventory here? A bunch of antidotes, liquid lights, liquid sounds, and holy waters, and balloon juices? Not terribly concerned if you do go that route. So let's give it a shot. There's a chance that maybe he does not even hold on to these items here, in which case, quite literally, he can't use the potion spray at all and is useless. Then Zack. Zack is the real challenge. So I'm thinking what we do with you is, tell you what, talk about the Cursed Beret. Cursing someone? I think we actually want this on Zack. This is one way to guarantee that because Zack is cursed, he does not have the ability to use any of his special abilities, therefore cannot use Sin Strike, therefore we are taking away the biggest risk. So I think that is certainly the way to go here. Of course, unequip his other items there, and then use the Shishik, his initial weapon here, so that he is much weaker. And then for you, you are an air elemental character. That means we'd ideally be looking for more air pendants to further emphasize your weakness to fire, though those have been rather in demand as of late. We threw those on Solar, which maybe we just swiped those, and we didn't put any pendants on Meridor either. So that might be worth doing. Meridor is fire elemental, meaning that he's naturally weakest to water. If we have any fire pendants lying around, which we do, certainly throw on one of those. Okay. We might need to take one of these from Solar. After all, maybe Solar we switch you to Earth pendants instead, meaning you'll be weak to air here. Sure. Just throw on a second one for you. We have a few pendants remaining. Yes, we could say make a point of doubling up on the air pendants on Zack. And more fire, throw that on Meridor. Water, throw that on Elwian. What else do we have remaining? Earth. For Slinik. Fire, we don't want to put that on Donovan. We're actually using Donovan. So he should actually be optimized. And for others, Gloria, we're actually using you, of course, so you'll stay as is. Darla, you only have one pendant. Do we have any more of these lying around in our stash? We may. We certainly do. Okay. So in that case, we should be fine in that regard. We can double up and make it so that people are minus 100% resistances to the type that we're throwing on here, so that is great, as long as we are making a point of using that type of elemental damage, of course. Oh, Vern, you don't have anything either, and again, you are also a light elemental character, so we could say just double up on something like fire or water here, because we have plenty of those lying around. There is one other chestplate that we could consider putting on someone who can wear the heavier chestplates. Let's just see if we have it lying around in here somewhere. The bone mails do make you vulnerable to light 100%, but resistant to dark 50%. So we are attacking you with light damage that could work here. Let's try throwing one of these on Vern. Of course, it does mean it's coming along with 4 physical defense. I don't think that's going to be a game changer here. We'll give it a shot. It does also mean he's resistant to curses, so we wouldn't want to throw on Curse Spray, but actually, tell you what, I think even if you have 100% curse resistance, this will still curse you, so even then, that combo would still work. Okay, then, I mean, we could throw even more of these on other people, but I don't think it's making a huge difference here. As for others, yes, we've doubled up on the pendants for all of you. Mardek, I think you might be the only person remaining here who we've not necessarily made a point of optimizing, so we'll stick with your champion sword, yes, of course. Shield of Darkness is important for that extra 30% dark resistance, because we want to make sure that, well, I suppose we made a point of preventing Zack from annihilating us with Sin Strike. Maybe that's not as much of a concern anymore, in which case we could even go with the Glyph Shield, go with our previous maximizing resistances strategy. Could throw the Scarab of Health on you, some extra vitality, just in case you do get hit with a strong attack there. That is one thing that we made a point of doing with Donovan, but he's still only on 1,800 HP. And of course, some of our attacks that our allies can use are extremely potent. So, by using weaker weapons, that does mean that physical attacks will probably be suffering quite a bit, but their spells, those could still hurt quite a lot. So, making sure that we have someone who has, on the order of about 3,000 HP, might not be a bad idea. And the M Charm, no, that doesn't give us any vitality. That does strength and spirit. It does give more dark resistance, yes. But I think we've established now that that's not as much of a concern anymore. So I'm thinking, we could even go with the Emerald Bangle here. That gives 3 more vitality. That would break us above the 3,000 mark. That could be what we're looking for here. And then, of course, we've not yet spoken about the actual abilities that we take here. For Mardek, we can put on basically everything. It would be mostly a question of the passive side of things. Yeah, let's take off the meta skills of sorts. Don't need double AP or gold or loot finder or experience. Let's throw on the Rainbow Aura. And let's just take a look at what the resistances add up to for you right now. You're on 0 dark resistance? Okay, I know we were saying that maybe Sin Strike not as much of a concern anymore, but we could still get hit by some dark attacks. Legion has some physical dark attacks, so that probably is something we should make a point of throwing on here, and let's get rid of the ability. That's not really necessary. Ether, there are some strong Ether abilities that we have with Legion again. Legion is the one that has perhaps access to the most unusual types of elements, but I think Legion's most powerful ability, that being the one that halves the amount of HP that the target has, only works when targets are below a certain level, and I think that Mardek in particular is definitely above that level, so we should be safe from that. Let's instead just throw on whatever we have the lowest resistances to here of these options here. The answer would be just not Earth. Earth, we're already doing okay. So let's do water and fire. Does mean that we don't have any RP, or at least not enough RP remaining, to boost our HP any further, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think with Mardek, we'll probably still be okay, because we're looking at, again, over 3,000 HP. That's probably a little bit more than the amount of damage that anyone could hit us with in one turn, but it is a bit of a risk, especially if, say, all of our allies, or air quotes, allies, or friends, maybe is a better way to phrase it, were to go in a row and they all targeted Mardek, then it is possible they could take him out here. So it's still dangerous. Still dangerous. As for others, Donovan, I think for you, might have a few more decisions to make here. Degeneration, that's probably safe to go without that. Then take everything here, and for these, we want to make a point of focusing on elements, or could we say, oh no, we don't have quite enough to throw on another one here, so we'll, yeah, just maximize the amount of magic defenses, generically. And for your passive abilities here, for you, I think we could make a stronger case that boosting HP is more necessary. Because Donovan, you're only on 1,800 HP right now, which I think means that almost anyone could take you out. Maybe it would take 2 turns, but of course we have multiple clones that the king is going to make. So that doesn't necessarily mean you're safe. I think for that reason, let's throw on the HP here, the vitality here, and I mean, if we load up on every possible source of HP, that does mean that you are basically at 3,000 HP. It does mean that we aren't loading up on resistances very much. But I think that, as we said previously, Donovan may not be as important for you to stay up here, and you do still have some resistances, yes. So I think you may go down. You're probably the most likely to go down of everyone in our group here, but I think we can still live with that. As for Gloria, you are much more important. So for you, you can equip just about everything on those other pages there, but in terms of magic defensive reactions, we are at the moment using the more generic sources, which could work, because that does mean that regardless of what type of spell someone is hitting us with, we're reducing the damage, and we don't necessarily know what type of damage we're going to get hit with, so that is tempting. I'm wondering if spell resist, although it is helpful, yes, I think that it's maybe not quite consistent enough to be best in this set of circumstances here. Gloria, what type of damage are you weakest to right now? Answer would be fire, air, and light of the elements that we are likely to get hit by. Fire, air, and light. Okay, so let's make a point of making sure that, say, put on fire here. Don't have light magic defense, so that's unfortunate. We could say, make a point of throwing on air somehow. Oh, and you are wearing the night jacket, are you not? So we don't need dark. Let's put on air instead. Okay, I think that's probably best. And for you, let's take off the spirit and agility, all the attributes. That's not really necessary here. Don't need the dark resistance. You could throw on the earth, but you already have a fair amount of that. So yeah, I don't really think we need to throw that on. That's overkill. Definitely the rainbow aura, though. Give us a little bit of everything. Then from there, I think probably looking at HP for you, Gloria, again, to try to make sure that you don't go down to any powerful attacks or spells. And we don't have quite as much RP remaining to do that here. But that does still mean that you are a little bit above 2,000 HP. I think you are still somewhat in the danger zone in that case. Then, Legion. Okay, so for offensive reactions, we do have some choices to be made here. Could go with Shield Break. I think we had this equipped on one occasion when we were expecting to go against a specific enemy that could put on Shield. I think it's unlikely on this occasion here. So we probably take that off and throw on accuracy for consistency, and then we can throw on the crit as well. Why don't we go with that? Then we'll take everything we can get in terms of physical defensive reactions, and in terms of magic defensive reactions here, don't have many options, Legion. So I think just take another look at what you have in terms of resistances. You are healing to dark. That means you don't need magic dark. Okay, we don't have that equipped, so that's fine. In terms of fire, water, air, and earth, do we have a preference there? It's all the same, all 80%, so it doesn't really matter. So I guess we'll just stick with what we have. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to do with our remaining 3 RP. But if we move on to the passive side, we're going to throw on Mechanical Body. Sure. But then the Rainbow Ore, I think that is one of the great sources of our resistances right now, so we'll definitely want to keep that. Then outside of that, you don't have access to the +3 Vitality because you can't equip that +6 Vitality still. So I think, oh, but you do have plus 30% HP, and only you can use that. So it is tempting here, awfully tempting. You can do that, plus 10% HP, for a total of plus 40% HP. Brings you up to 2,800-ish, which is still not quite at 3,000, I think. It's borderline in terms of whether or not someone could take you out, or at least a team of opposing characters could take you out in one set of turns. But I think that's pretty much as good as it's going to get. So Gloria absolutely has the lowest HP here. Might need to do some things to make sure that she's stronger defensively. Say with Mardek putting on a magic shield on her, or physical shield on her, so that she doesn't go down. Everyone else, I think, is on the safe-ish side. So I think this is a good setup here. Again, rules of thumb being, we want to make a point of getting well-rounded resistances on the people that we have in our party right now. You can potentially make a point of leaving one particular element that they are weak to, so that if they do show up on the opposing side, we have a way of damaging them. But that is, you could make a case for it, you can make a case against it, because that of course means that if we are doing that, and our version of, say, Gloria gets hit by the resistance that she's weakest to, then she could go down, and that's unfortunate. That's the risk we're taking, but of course with those people who are not in our party, we're definitely making a point of making them very weak to one type of damage. So let's save one more time here, just in case things go awry. Does, however, mean that for people like Legion and Gloria, the way we have them set up at the moment, if Legion shows up, there are very few ways to damage them. So that's going to be difficult. I'm thinking, what would we do if Legion shows up? Our Legion does have access to some physical skills, both spells and attacks. That might be the way we go on that occasion, because anything else is going to deal very little damage. So, yeah, I think that's what we go for. Okay. Mardek also has a lot of resistances, but I don't think that we will see any clone Mardeks. Here we go. And this time around, I will probably just proceed to skip through all this stuff here. We know that there's no turning back, so attempt number 2, kind of... Alright, so we're back. And immediately this time, the king summons his other clones. I was a little bit surprised the first time around. He did not do it right off the bat. This time we have Donovan, we have Gloria, and we have Eloian. So, of course, it is a random set of clones. Could find that he summons any one of our party members, so different set than we saw previously. I am not pleased to see Gloria, because, of course, Gloria is one of the people who we did make a point of gearing up quite a bit, and to a lesser extent, with Donovan as well. Donovan, we certainly could still hit you with, say, water or air damage, and that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Gloria, if we hit you with air and fire, yeah, we might still be able to take you out, but you also have a lot of HP, the people we were making a point of gearing up. Donovan has 3,000, like we were saying before, so this is our Donovan. Our Donovan, who do we want you to attack? Eloian, I'm thinking, is probably the easiest to take out, but at the same time might be the least problematic. I'm thinking we probably do want to make a point of taking out Gloria first, and she is, relatively speaking, somewhat weak to fire. So why don't we say, go with something like a blaze specifically on her? How much damage can we deal? Just shy of 2,000. I mean, if that's any indication of what we're about to see from them, then that could be problematic. Okay, Gloria, I'm thinking, yes, let's prioritize taking yourself out here. So it could be either the Twister, or it could be the Wildfire. I think either case should be enough damage here. Could perhaps hit everyone with it, and tell you what, I think that is probably the way to go, because I'm assuming that regardless of whether or not you're using a party-wide attack or a targeted one against just your clone version, you're going to deal at least 351 damage. In which case, let's look at what other types of elements are most effective against other people. We're saying against you would be either fire or air. And I'm thinking that means air is probably the way to go because, well, actually, King Gosnor, despite being fire elemental, is actually more resistant to air. As for Donovan, air is definitely better for attacking him. And it doesn't matter for Eloian. So take your pick. I think we probably do go with air. Hit everyone with it. And is it enough to take out Clone Gloria? Looks like it is. So that's big. One down there. Then for Mardek, I was saying we probably do want to make a point of putting on some kind of shield on Gloria in particular. Thinking we prioritize the magic shield. Don't think physical attacks are going to be as much of a problem. Let's do that. And then the reason why I was going with Gloria plus Legion is because we have an interesting combo here. If we go with Fairy Dust, which is a magical dust that sprinkles over all targets, lowering their strength and spirit, sometimes lulling them to sleep. We go this route here. The idea behind this strategy is that we lower everyone's stats until they're so low that they can't do anything at all, or at least can't deal any damage at all. And of course, we did manage to put everyone to sleep, though it seemed as though everyone immediately woke up, so got a little bit lucky and then unlucky on that front. So Donovan, of course, you are not capable of lowering people's attributes. You can lower their physical defenses with a burn. There is perhaps something to be said about that, but I do think that generally speaking, we are probably going to be using spells more often than attacks, so you're mostly just an observer on this occasion here. Does anyone need healing or any other type of item? Could say make a point to throw on something like a Mirror Elixir to give people all those shields. Did throw on some stuff for Gloria though, so I think she's probably fine. Maybe make a case throwing one on Mardek. Sure, just to be safe, let's do it. And for Gloria, okay, so the idea with you is that you can also lower people's attributes with things like Whirlpool, it would be Spirit, Wildfire, it would be Strength. So if we say go for Spirit with a Whirlpool, that would mean that we're trying to lower King of Gosnor's spirit, and basically everyone else's spirit, down to 0, which they do have a fair bit here, especially because we are going against some of the people who we did gear up, so they have a little bit of a boost to some of their stats. So it may take a little while to get this one done, but of course we saw with some of our previous boss strategies, that has typically been the case. This one might still be one of the faster ways to fight some of these bosses here. Mardek, anyone we want to put another type of shield on? Put a physical shield on Gloria? How do we do that? We could also heal and put on some regens, set us up for the future. And Legion, it is just Fairy Dust all the time for you. So it may not necessarily be the most offensively oriented setup for Legion at least, because that's not dealing any damage, it's just lowering the attributes and putting them to sleep. Okay, and some fire damage there. We do have pretty decent fire resistance. So it hurt Donovan a bit. We see some of our opponents did... Oh! Go to sleep, yes. But there we see, when we take one of the clones out, the king can bring back more. Okay. In that case, looks like we know who our real target should be. Shouldn't be focusing too much on the clones, or at least not removing them, unless we feel like there's someone who we really don't want to have there. And instead, focus on taking out the king. Now, of course, if we are reducing their attributes, then that is a good way to make sure that they are not capable of doing very much. For example, Eloine is very much a character that relies on her spirit to increase the effectiveness of her songs, otherwise she's doing almost nothing. So if we continue to reduce that spirit down to close to 0, then she is basically doing nothing. Of course, her physical attacks are going to be little to no damage at all. Then we did swap out Gloria for Solar by taking out Gloria, and you know, I think I'll take that trade, because we were saying how Gloria was one of the people, and we made a point of gearing up, so probably a good thing that we swapped her around. We could, similarly, opt to try to take out Donovan, because he's another person who has some solid gear on him, and that might mean that we'll get someone else to replace him. We don't know who it's going to be, but I think that of the people that we did gear up, Donovan was the weakest, so probably still okay with that. This is our Donovan gear, of course, and for you, why don't we make a point of targeting the king specifically, because you, as we said before, are not capable of doing anything to lower attributes. But I think this is a good setup for this particular fight, because if we don't want to take out all the clones, and we instead just focusing on lowering their attributes, then yes, Gloria's setup here actually will heal Eloine, but legions will not deal damage at all. So that means that we are making a point of weakening our opponents to the point where they are no threats at all. We can just keep them around, and at that point in time, we are free to just take out the king, and it's becoming more or less a 1v4 fight on that occasion. Mardek, you could also make a point of targeting the king specifically, unless we want to make a point to throw it on, like, Legion on Donovan. Donovan, like we were saying, he's the weakest defensively of our characters here. Has decent life, yes, but has the weakest resistances of anyone in the party right now. So let us continue to use Fairy Dust. I think Legion is capable of reducing people's attributes more quickly than Gloria is. So in many ways, Legion is the real person who's carrying the team here. And you see that the damage should continue to get lower every time our opponents attack us, and we have a lot of people asleep as well. That's why we're getting this long pause here, because that would have been everyone else's turn. But they just end up taking it, because they were too busy taking a snooze. Okay, so I'm thinking that, yeah, Donovan, let's continue to burn on the king and try to lower his physical defenses. I think he had as much as 10, which is not bad. Now it should be down to 0. I think we got -5 the first time we used it, -6 that time. It should be down to 0, yes. And there we see, I think the first time Clone Donovan used one of those abilities there, our Donovan took several hundred damage. That time it was only a little over 100. So, like, Clone Donovan, I think, started out with at least +8 spirit, now is down to just +3. We is certainly still dealing damage, yes, but with our fire resistances that we have on people, and reactions as well, should mean that it's not too bad for us. And of course, we can continue, weaken people further. One thing that I do like about the set of enemies that we have right now with the clones is that most of them are spellcasters, maybe not pure spellcasters in the case of Solar and Donovan, but that does mean that we can focus on lowering their spirit, and that should be a great way to weaken them. Don't need to worry about should we prioritize strength or spirit, because that of course would affect which spell we use with Gloria. Mardek, I'm thinking on this occasion, you start getting a little bit more aggressive offensively against the king. If you were to say use water would be best, let's use a water slash against him. It does likely mean that he will use a reaction against us in response, but that's still 5,000 damage. And there we are, reducing the king's strength as well. Legion is reducing both, it's just Gloria that we have to choose. So that does mean that after lowering his strength a bit, he's dealing less damage with those reactions as well. Until we get to the point where, yeah, basically no one is hurting us at all. Making this fight trivial, once we do ultimately get to that point. Of course, if the king outright misses, then no risk at all. Once again, people going to sleep and staying asleep. King's Inferno seems as though very keen on using fire skills between the king and Donovan. Just 170 damage taken that time from Donovan. And he is definitely still, as we're seeing there, the person who's taken the most damage. And we saw that we have probably reduced the king's armor down to 0. Is that correct? Yes. So we could say focus on burning other people, lower their defenses, although I mean, Donovan does have some. As we said, we did give him some here, so maybe we make a point burning him, though he does have some fire resistance that we numbed him, meaning that he can't use physical attacks. We will definitely be using spells this time. I suppose Donovan could still apply some statuses to people. Not that numb is all that important when, as we were saying, we're looking at mostly spellcasters here. He could throw on nulls for Gloria, of course. That is one of the other reasons why she is great for these big fights. That's not really what we're focusing on doing here. Deliberately trying to prioritize. Go with this strategy here. Lowering people's attributes as much as possible. Although, ooh, Solar is getting extreme low. Did we take Solar out? We did. Okay, so that was not necessarily something that I was hoping to do. Because Solar was a nice person to have there. They were, of course, using spells against us, first and foremost. And we did lower their attributes quite a bit, so if we get someone back here, when the king summons a new clone, then that does mean they will be back at their starting attributes. That's one of the downsides of dealing damage. In some ways, it's a good thing in that case, that we are healing Eloian with our water elemental spells. And we're dealing little enough damage to Donovan with them that should still be fine. Mardek, though, you are definitely still going to be our primary source of offense against the king himself. These attacks here. When he counters, not bad at all. Legion is starting to get low on the MP, though, so we might need to make a point of restoring some of that soon. I'm thinking that might be a Donovan type of task. So continue the Fairy Dust. Because as we were saying, Donovan, yes, could be a source of damage as well, but he can't lower the attributes. So he's more of a minor addition to this team here. If someone needs to use items, then why not him? King actually goes again here with another Inferno, no less. Okay. But still, not so bad. Donovan does have the regen on now, so gets back some of the HP that he lost. And yes, I'm thinking, Donovan, why don't you, say, make a point of using some kind of MP restoration on Legion, like, how much do we need? 100 might be enough. Seems as though it was. And Gloria, continue the whirlpools. And at this point, we're getting awfully close, at least in some cases, getting people down to close to 0 in their attributes. I think Eloian was the lowest on Spirit. Let's check her out. Yeah, she has 0 there, meaning that she is almost incapable of doing anything. In fact, she has 0 strength as well, so physical attack should deal nothing. Spells, songs, won't do anything either. Then Donovan Clone is still capable of doing a bit here, but we're at the point now where I think we probably have his spirit and maybe his strength as well. We're getting there. As for the king, well, of course we can damage you directly, and you're starting to get rather low. In fact, I think we actually applied a bleed. I did not even realize that, but Mardek does have an offensive reaction that allows us to apply that status, so it's like a poison, but it also will deal some damage every time the king takes a turn. Let's continue the Fairy Dust with Legion, though. Yeah, there you see, 3,000 damage, even when the king is asleep. So that's a free 6,000 damage across those 2 turns, and that means that one more of those, and the king is going down. So, tell you what, king is only 20% resistant to fire. Donovan, I don't know, can you do it? Can you take out your own father? Not quite. Just shy. As for Gloria, I mean, you could certainly do the trick here, the Whirlpool. Or we could say, I don't know, throw a cactus at him instead? Why not? And there it is, king down. Okay, so we do still need to take out the clones, but presumably, well, with the king down, that means that we will no longer have any way for other clones to appear. So, Eloian, we know, is not much of a concern here, so I'm thinking we target Donovan first and foremost, clone Donovan, that is. And water, air, both of those should be fine. I'm thinking we can probably take it out with 1 hit on Mardek. Certainly can. And for Legion, gonna do the honors, taking out Eloian. That you can as well. And there we go. to get a regal crown, which I suppose is fitting after taking out the king, the Sword of Gosnor, an elixir, one of those potions that heals full MP and HP, and a Phoenix Pinion. Great stuff.
Good. Where? Where am I? The paint. I can't see. Father!
Oh, he admits it!
Now, come out of your shell and face me as yourself, Qualna. I know you're here somewhere. Donovan! Is that you? I'm here for you, Father. Hold on. You'll make it. You'll pull through. Save your strength. Cliches can't save me now, my son. We all know this is where I meet my end. Whoever makes it out of situations like this. I'm bleeding all over this rug, you know. Listen, Donovan. I know you never wanted to be called Prince, or even have your royal status known, because you felt you should be on the same level as the other guards, soldiers, and knights. Your renown based on your own merits rather than your royal blood, like the stuff you're standing in right now. But unfortunately, now we have no choice anymore. You must take up the my strength fades. You know what I'm trying to. Father, no! Donovan! The king. He's dead. Darn you, Qualna. That wasn't necessary. Where are you?
Glavis, what are you doing here?
And so, the monarch of Gosnor falls. A tremendous pity. Do you know what will come of this? He was a keystone, you know.
Of course he was, Glavis.
What are you doing here? We've no time to deal with you right now, old man. Be gone. We're in the middle of something. Am I so unwanted? I'm saddened. I feel rejected. You are the son of the king, correct? Donovan, was it? I am greatly sorry for your loss. But I wish to ask you how you feel about his passing.
Oh, Glavis, too soon, man. Way too soon.
How do I feel?
How do I feel? How do you think I feel?
Loss, anger, sadness. We are the ones who killed him. He died in my arms. I have responsibility dumped on me, and I don't know what to do. I fear for the future of Gosnor. I ask because I know the feelings.
Glavis? Your text has suddenly become cyan.
You didn't think when you killed Roy, did you, Rohan? You didn't think at all. You killed one of our natural friends. But worse, you dislodged a keystone of the very structure of our civilization. Do you have any idea how much his death hurt us, his friends, or how much his loss cost Anshar?
What?
Palna? Oh, really, Rohov? Your mind is worse than I thought. I didn't think you'd go so long without realizing who I am. So much for having a shared history. But you can take back that remark about my acting talents.
Oh, he's like, well, you were criticizing my acting talents when I was possessing the king, but I just went this entire game without you realizing I've been Glavis all along.
But the king... Do you not even remember the power we wield, Roha? I think you've been on this peasant little rock ball for too long. But I think you also fail to realize that you are becoming what you accuse us of. You probably think we've not been watching you bugger around on this slow-paced, comfortable little world with this alternate little life of yours. But ha! We've been watching you for years now, tracking you, watching what you do. I honestly was expecting you to have made more progress than this in your childish little rebellion, but it's gone on long enough. You forget what happened to Mardek. He came here to destroy me, and look what happened. Do you want to join him? That's just... Gah! I hate what you've become, Rohoff. You hate what we've become, I know that. But you're so... self-righteous. You can't even look in a mirror to see what's happened to yourself. You think you are magically immune to the violet crystal? You think we don't know what it does? Anyway, how could I forget about Mardek? He was one of my oldest friends. And yours too, but that didn't stop you from sealing his soul. And you used to call him evil. I'm sickened by your hypocrisy. Look, I don't want to stand here while you insult me with these baseless lies. Clearly, your mind is too addled to realize you're talking nonsense. You've gone insane. Let's just battle and be done with it. Get out of my way. Rohoff, you are not in the right here. It may surprise you to know that I'm not here to kill you. I'm here in goodwill, actually. I'm here to try to convince you, to make you see reason, to make you aware of what you are doing, and to make you accept what you have become, so that you can channel it appropriately. We, that is, myself and the rest of the council, have realized for a long time now what the violet crystal does. We knew as soon as you did, but we reacted more maturely about it. We realized that we could use its power to further our civilization, but you misinterpreted our goals. Yes, I'll be the first to admit that most of us didn't exactly react in a mature and rational manner to your own irrationality, and we did indeed want you dead. Or the others did, at least. Mardek, especially. I know he'd have loved to kill you. It seems the crystal exaggerates our strongest traits, while subduing our softer ones. I was even sent here to kill you, but I'm not going to do that. Unlike Mardek, I'm not going to betray our council for my own personal gain either, but I'm hoping to come to a better solution than mindless bloodshed. If you wanted to prevent mindless bloodshed, then what was the need in killing this human king? I did not kill the king. I possessed him, yes, and put on that silly act to run you on that wild goose chase. But I did it all for a reason. I didn't intend for him to die, and I'm sorry that that happened. But they're only humans. It's not like this place matters or anything. I've watched you interact with them on this world. These humans. Pretending that you care about them, just to save your own skin. You'd never mention how you used to be with them back on Anshar, since you have to rely on them now. But alas, this is not the time or the place for that. Amusingly embarrassing as it be for you. Anyway, as I said, we've been watching you for a while. Since you ruthlessly slaughtered our friend, our necromancer, chaos has broken out on Anshar. As you know, Quark never trained an apprentice to take over from his position. None of us did, though some of us are working on it now. So with his fall, he left a hole. The undead army that used to be our military force could no longer be as large as it once was, so we've been having to swell the ranks with live Droma, and even a few Enukai, and they've not been happy about that, as you can imagine. Rioting ensued, and overall, the army is weaker. Things aren't too bad at the moment, all things considered, but it could get a lot worse if more of us are lost. Your own absence is terrible for the morale and the health of our citizens the world over, you know. I don't suppose you considered anything like this when you stormed off in a fit of emotion? So, as I became more and more distressingly aware of how much your mind has gone toward chaos and ruin, and senility and such, I decided to try to teach you a lesson. I knew you'd not listen to me, but hoped with this disguise here, as Clavis, I could teach you about the effects of removing keystones from their place. Hopefully, so you'd stop what you're doing to us. Gods know you've been acting like a child, so I might as well talk down to you as one, trying to teach you the basics. I sent you to find the crystals because they are great, significant keystones, and I wanted to show you what happened when they are removed. All the repercussions. You saw what happens to the temples when their keystones are removed, and the same happens in any system. Anshar will die without its government. It already is doing. Now that you've seen for yourself what happens when a keystone is removed, I summoned you back here. I don't have forever to waste away here, like you seem to act as if you do. Violence isn't a sensible option. If you don't agree with our new methods with the Violet Crystal, then by all means come back and we'll debate about it. Weigh the pros and cons, and go with the majority vote. Like old times. Then, whatever's chosen, you'll have to deal with it, and hope to use it in whatever lofty, moral way you think is right. Running off just caused problems. I want you to return with me, Rohoff. It won't be easy at first, but I think over time, we can get back to what we once were, and start using the Violet Crystal to shape a better tomorrow for the Enukai. What? Are you that stupid? I won't fall for that trick. I am not a child. You'd just sure lure me back and then kill me and get me out of your way. No, Rohoff. Have you listened to a word I've said? We don't all solve our problems with mindless violence, moving obstacles from our path. We don't all see things as black and white as you do. I am being honest and serious here, and I want to make things right. Though you've been really grinding my gears lately because of how the Violet Crystals mess with your mind, you are still my friend, Rohan. And heck, I love you, like I loved Morik. I don't want to lose another friend. Sorry, Qualna, but your silver tongue won't save you this time. I'm not falling for it. I will continue my resistance against you, and I will destroy you, and the rest of my former chums, if I have to. You are evil. Can't you see this? It's easy for you, in your position, to lie and say you're not, and to speak of using the Violet Crystal as if it's not pure evil. But, you're just evil, and I need to stop you. I'll fight you if I have to. With you joining Morik, I will be so much closer to returning Anshar to light. Well, I see that this is hopeless. You're further gone than I was hoping, but I tried. I won't argue with you anymore, Rohan. I'm going. I'll form an astral tunnel. You want to follow me, then follow me. I hope you do. Otherwise, I'll check upon you again in a while. Try some other means to get you to come back. Be glad I'm putting so much effort into this. You don't want to get Gasper after you. Believe me. So come, Rohan, old friend. Follow me. Rohan, what's going on? I'm going after him. I won't let him get away and report what he found back to them. They are evil. Am I the only one who has no idea what just happened? I'm as perplexed as you are. I think they're Anukai, and they made an astral tunnel to traversify through the Fig Plane to get to their homeworld of Anshar, and, I don't have a rogue's bottom of an idea. No.
So Lars like, oh yeah, I see this stuff all the time. Oh, they're just demons, like in Chapter 2. Let's just wait a while and they'll sort themselves out. Who's up for a game of Twister?
Ooh, me. My father's lying dead on the floor here.
Well, I guess I'll have to sit this one out then.
I never knew you were royalty.
And through the astral tunnel we go. So, with that, King of Gosnor, well, as we anticipated, was in fact possessed by Qualna, indeed. Lavis, however, could you tell? Could you tell that was Qualna as well? And an interesting conversation there between Qualna and Rohoff, where, tell you what, Qualna actually made some very good points there. Rohoff seemingly been a little bit carried away with this old self-righteousness. If Qualna is in fact not looking to kill people and just wants Rohoff to peacefully return to Anshar, then maybe that is truthfully the best way to go about this, but Rohoff seems as though not taking any compromises here. So with that, gonna wrap things up here, and next time around, we will see what exactly we do over here with just Mardek in this astral tunnel. Tune in next time to find out.